Smash Mouth Sports. I'm your host, as always, Preston Bailey. With me is Cam Vieira, the co-host, and I'm even more excited to have Jeff Barnes back. Jeff, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great, and you? How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. So we got Jeff for about 15, 20 minutes here, so we're going to try to get to everything. So the first thing I want to get to, I want to set the tone here. There's 6 coaching vacancies. There's 6. There's the Jets, the Jaguars, and I want to be clear, I don't want to upset the Jaguars fans like I did a week ago when I said the Jacksonville Jaguars are a dumpster fire, and they sent me all kinds of angry tweets, all kinds of thumbs down. So should I be nice this week, guys, to the Jacksonville Jaguars and say they're going to make the right move?
It's going to be interesting, yeah. It's going to be interesting. And from the way they're starting out, it's going to be very interesting.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Then we got the Texans. Then we got the Chargers. Then we got the Lions. And then we got the Falcons. So let's start right off the top. Jeff, tell me, in your opinion, who are the Jets going to take? And then we'll see if Cam either agrees with it or thinks this is crazy. So what is your thought on the Jets?
The Jets are a hard read for me. I know there's a lot of people, they go by relationships, and a lot of these NFL jobs are relationship-driven. But I think this is going to be a process. They're going to take their time with it. They want to get this one right. You know, usually they have somebody in mind. They go with that in first instinct. And how has that worked out for the Jets the past 20, 30 years when it comes to picking a head coach? It hasn't worked out. They get one guy in there, and they'll have some success. But, of course, you know the New York Jet fans, if you're not winning Super Bowls, they're not happy. And eventually he's ushered out, and they move on. So when you look at this year, this is one of those years where you're not really getting a great – other than what you're hearing in Jacksonville, you're not getting a great sign of they want this particular coach. This is a good thing. It's about time we got away from that.
Yeah, I agree. So and I missed – so if you're forced, you're in the room, you're in the Jets room, who are you recommending to the GM, to the owners? Who do the Jets take? Who's your instinct? Who do they grab? Do they grab Urban Meyer? Do they grab Eric Bieniemy? Those are 2 of the names I keep hearing thrown around to many of these teams. But I'm going to throw those 2 names out there to start. Urban Meyer and Eric Bieniemy. Bieniemy, the hot offensive coordinator. Urban Meyer, the long historic coach for college. So who would be your natural choice for the Jets?
If they are smart, they go after Bieniemy. And they need the offensive coach to nurture their young quarterback who you spent all this time on. If you're going to go after Lawrence, you still need this offensive coach that's going to work with the incoming quarterback. So no matter what, you want to build an offense around a guy who has this offensive brain. The last time they tried it was with Adam Gase. We saw he was a retread. It didn't work out in Miami. I don't know why they thought it was going to work out in New York. So, listen, we've seen many guys get rehired over the years. You can hire Eric Bieniemy once.
Cam, let's hear it. What are your thoughts? You agree with Jeff, or you say, no, get out of here? Let's hear it. Come on.
I don't have Eric Bieniemy going to the Jets.
Whoa, here we go.
The guy I thought they were going to get was Jim Harbaugh, but he just re-signed with Michigan today. That just broke a few hours ago.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, breaking news, I was going to tell you that before we got too deep into this, Jim Harbaugh's out, in case nobody saw that. He's out. They re-signed with Michigan. So, and I don't want to jump on your parade here, but to throw this out there, I don't see – we may pick a college coach. We may pick an Urban Meyer to one of these teams. I personally do not see in this year, with this last year, all the insanity in sports, seeing an elite college quarterback, Urban Meyer, Dabo, et cetera, leaving that atmosphere, or Nick Saban, or whoever the guy is, and going to a new environment in the NFL. But let's hear your guy.
I got them taking Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Bills. Going to the Jets, help out Sam Darnold. He's helped out Josh Allen tremendously. That's why I got the Jets hiring Brian Daboll.
I have to be honest. I don't know. We'll go to Jeff and get his opinion, but I got to be just saying Brian Daboll. It doesn't elicit any kind of emotion. I feel like if we were in a board meeting, and I said, "Hey guys, let's bring in pretzels for the great snack." Nobody hates pretzels. I don't hate pretzels, but it doesn't. Nobody's going to say, yes, let's hire pretzels. So, Jeff, you weighed in on that. Brian Daboll, what are your thoughts on that?
He's a good coordinator. We've seen what he's done for the Buffalo offense since he's been there. I think when you look at the Jets, though, this has got to be not only a guy that's going to be effective as a head coach, this has to be a guy that's going to capture the fan base. They've had too many bad coaches, too many situations where if you bring in somebody that's going to anger this fan base in a season where you haven't had fans in the stadium, so you're going to want this stadium at whatever capacity it's going to be at next season.
And
so
that's
if that's going to be the case, you don't want to get this coaching. Yeah, you don't want this coaching. They don't want this hire going wrong. So it has to be somebody that's going to capture the base as well as be productive as a head coach.
Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let's move into Jacksonville. This has been one the Jaguars fans. By the way, so the other part of that take I did last week was I mentioned I created my own scenario. So I played general manager for a day, and I said the Dallas Cowboys should get Trevor Lawrence and trade Dak and Zeke and a couple other picks. It was my own scenario that I created, and they should try from a marketing standpoint, from other standpoints, because I feel like the Dak, Jerry Jones that relationship could be frayed, and I feel like getting Dak to Jacksonville could help them out. So that was my take, my angle. And Jacksonville Jaguar fans, I don't know if it's Lawrence's hair, but they are in love with Trevor Lawrence. Like it's almost as like they feel like they've had him for 3 years. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So let's get a coach for the Jaguars from Jeff.
Honestly, I think they're going to go more defensive when it comes to coaches. Look at staying in the state of Florida. You're a Bucs fan, okay? Your defensive coordinator is back out there interviewing for head coaching positions. So don't be surprised if that's one of the names they pull in there. But
Todd Bowles.
Yes. So I know that the hot name right now that's connected with Jacksonville is Urban Meyer.
Yep.
And honestly, to me, that would be a mistake. And it's not that I don't think Urban Meyer is an excellent coach. You're looking at a coach who in his last 3 coaching positions has left for different reasons, especially Florida and Ohio State. It was health in Florida.
Yep.
And then when you look at Ohio State, it was health. He had to take a leave of absence, came back, and then he left because of all the issues they were having with the recruiting and the off-the-field scenarios they had that got in trouble for. So with that being said, do you want to bring this guy into a situation in the NFL where the stress is 3 times higher? And plain and simple, college coaches are used to being hands-on. Yes. They control everything. Bringing them to the NFL where you have to have a GM who's going to say, I don't like that guy, I'm going to give you this guy instead, or I'm going to sign this guy instead. Some college coaches don't take well to that, and eventually they go back. So if I'm on the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm looking for a long-term head coach. I'm going to look for a potential candidate that's going to be one. Yes, Todd Bowles is a great one. He's showing you can do it as a coordinator, but he showed you some potential with the Jets. Give him a second chance. All right, that's somebody that you want to see in that position.
Absolutely, Cam. Let's. Who is your choice, and then why?
Well, I disagree with Jeff. I'm going to go offense again here. It's not.
Whoa! What is going on here, Cam? I'll tell you what, man. Cam is getting in here. You know what? Let me just say this, Cam. I don't want to interrupt you, but Cam is from New England, so they are. You know, we're in Tampa. We're more like in New England, boy. They throw some wild punches. So, Cam, I got to hear it. Let's hear the guy.
Greg Roman, I think, is a good fit for Jacksonville. A guy that can work with mobile quarterbacks. He got the best of Colin Kaepernick, and he's done great with Lamar Jackson. So this is a guy who we know can get the best out of mobile quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence can move. I'm going with Greg Roman, the Ravens offensive coordinator.
I mean, that's not a bad pick. The one thing I will say to Jeff's credit, which is true with Todd Bowles, and I know a lot of people have been saying Urban Meyer because I'm telling you right now, I've talked to the Jags fans. They are living more in fantasy than in reality.
100%.
That is why I suggested Dak Prescott and Zeke, guys that have done well, guys that have won 10, 11 games. Get a stable quarterback. I know Jacksonville doesn't want to hear that. They want the fantasy. Oh, let's get Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, and we're just going to win 12 games. No, you're most certainly not going to win 12 games because Trevor Lawrence is great. I love Trevor Lawrence. Many scouts are calling him the best highly rated scout and the prospect we've ever seen. That may be true. But you know what? He doesn't have all the all-world talent that he's had this last 2 years. He's going to have one of the worst offensive lines. He's going to have one of the worst defenses. Allen Robinson is okay, but he's more of a volume possession. He's not a quick strike guy. So I'm just saying this is what I said about Joe Burrow. Everybody was in love with Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow is great. Cincinnati killed him, and I could see that happening to Mr. Lawrence as well. So I don't know that that's the best idea, Greg Roman or Todd Bowles. So Todd Bowles, that's not a bad choice, Greg Roman, because he's done a lot with, like you said, Kaepernick, Jackson, some of the mobile quarterbacks. But I don't know that they're going to run 12 to 15 times a game with Trevor Lawrence. The fans would get – and they're radical in Jacksonville. But Todd Bowles is interesting. Now, this is the one – I'm just going to jump the horse here. With the Texans, I was saving Eric Bieniemy for the Texans because Deshaun Watson has already endorsed Eric Bieniemy. Deshaun Watson has already said, Bieniemy's my guy, interview him. The new owner, which is the son of Mr. McNair that passed, said he would interview Bieniemy.
And then didn't.
And then he didn't. So this is a two-part thing. My goal would be to keep Deshaun Watson, not trade him, bring in Bieniemy, get everybody happy. To me, it's worth it because this whole thing is in shambles to me in Texas. Now, if you trade Deshaun Watson and try to get a haul, then I would consider a different coach if you feel that he would fit your system better. So what are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
I think Bieniemy would be a great fit, but you see, they didn't go that direction. Now,
right,
with Houston, if you're not going to pick one of these younger assistants that's coming up, you got to go college. Do not bring in another retread. Do not bring in another one of these Belichick tree coaches. You have to bring in, if it's got to be a fresh face that brings in.
Whoa! These overrated Belichick coaches, Cam, is that true?
No, it's 100% true.
Wait a minute, Matt Patricia and Bill O'Brien and all these other guys, they're not the great hoodie, the great wonderful.
Of course not. The proof's in the pudding with that one.
Whoa! So you're saying it's Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? Is that right?
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go fresh face here.
Okay.
I think we've done it enough. We don't. Yes, O'Brien had his time there, but once again, you're talking about a guy that was in college that had all the control in the world. There are college coaches that coached in the NFL. Herm Edwards is back in college. They're looking at Marvin Lewis. They're looking at all these guys who coached in the NFL before. But there are plenty of college coaches out there who've done well at their level that, you know what, give them a chance. Pull them up, because if you're not going to go with the assistants on the NFL level, go with a guy that's a head coach on the college level.
So just to pin you down, Jeff, to for the YouTube universe, because I'll get the heat anyway. They'll be like, ah! But who is your one? So in your version, Eric Bieniemy's gone. I would have chosen Bieniemy for the reason I know Houston has not chosen him. So that's not realistic. I'm telling you what I would do. I disagree with everything Houston has done outside of drafting Deshaun Watson in the last 4. I disagree with pretty much everything that they've done. I think. Look, I love J.J. Watt, the community, and all the good things. I'm going to say this: J.J. Watt, love the guy. It's time to cut bait with J.J. Watt. So if they're ready to blow this thing up, let's get rid of Watson and let's load up the picks. I can understand that and get rid of Watt and just kind of load everything up and get whatever young guy. So who would be your guy, since you've already crossed out Bieniemy, you've already crossed out Todd Bowles? Who would be your guy?
For Houston, honestly, I would wait a week until after this championship game, and I would look at Ryan Day from Ohio State. And when you talk about a guy who came in after Urban Meyer, yes, he's had a lot of talent, but he's been a consistent winner. He's cleaned up the program. They are well respected on and off the field. He has a respect of his players that have, not only that are in the program, but the players that have gone on after they've left the program. Here's a coach who has shown the ability to grow. Bring him in. He's not totally corrupted by the college system where he has full control. I believe he can work with a GM and bring in a quality staff and work with college scouts who can bring in the young talent to help him build up that roster. That's one advantage of bringing in a college coach. You see in Carolina with Matt Rule, who's a guy who, plain and simple, he knows the college players now. You know exactly what guys to bring in.
Cam, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm also going to the college ranks here, but I'm going to Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma.
Not a bad choice. Okay.
To come to Houston. I mean, this is a guy we've seen get the best out of Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. I think he'd be great for Deshaun Watson. Houston's in a tough spot. They don't have a lot of draft picks, and they have a bad cap situation. But I think Lincoln Riley is the guy who can get the most out of that, and I think it would make Deshaun Watson happy.
I would agree with you there. And I would agree that that's probably Lincoln Riley. You're right. All the guys you mentioned, he's done great jobs with all those guys. He is a good coach, kind of in the Sean McVay mold that a lot of people are getting excited about. That he's kind of, because in my opinion, Jared Goff, people have killed Jared Goff. Jared Goff, in my opinion, he's middle of the road with good coaching. He's kind of gone up to the upper top 11, 12, whatever number you want to give him. But Deshaun Watson is already a top 5 quarterback. So a guy like Lincoln Riley could absolutely do it. But again, at the core of me, I just don't believe a lot of these guys that have their case and they have their everything at college risking all that, because the money in college is very comparable, if not more in some cases. So that I like that. Let's go to Cam first for the Chargers, because I want to get Cam's pick on the Chargers, because they could go a lot of different ways here. Cam?
Here is where I have Eric Bieniemy, because I think he'd be great with Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen in that offense. They need some more pass catchers on that offense for sure, but I think he'd be a great fit with Justin Herbert. Absolutely. I think that's where Eric Bieniemy should go. Stay in the division. You can have some internal knowledge of the Chiefs you can give to the Chargers. I think that'd be a great fit. I
think you're right about that. I think that probably will be the most realistic of all these choices, because of some owners are with Bieniemy, some are not, some are here, some are there, some are all of it. Some say they're there, and then they go disappear, and they go to some total other place. Jeff, do you like that? And then if not or disagree, who is your choice? Jeff might have froze there. So, Jeff, did you freeze? Go ahead, Jeff. I think go ahead.
My signal. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead. Go for it. Chargers coach. Yep.
For me, once again, I'm thinking young assistant. I don't know this year. I'm not feeling the retreads this year. I think we've done enough of the assistant guys that have been head coaches before.
You want the new blood, the young Anakin Skywalkers to get the juice, to get the
young quarterback.
No Darth Vaders, right? You want the young guys. Okay.
Yes, you got a young quarterback again. How about a young guy who's come up in this game, who knows he's been doing well as a coordinator, did well. His team is now in the playoffs with 3 different quarterbacks. How about Scott Turner over in Washington? It would be a nice guy to bring in. You know, his father's a former head coach, Super Bowl champion coach with the Cowboys. There's a guy who's grew up in the NFL game. He knows the game. Let's see if he can elevate his game as a head coach with a young talented quarterback and roster.
All right. I know we're pressed for time. Do you got about 2 or 3 more minutes here, Jeff, so we can knock these last 2 out?
Okay.
Let's get Jeff's opinion, Cam, and then we'll get yours at the end.
Good.
Okay, Cam? All right, Jeff, let's knock out the Lions. Right now, I'm just going to throw this out there. Robert Saleh, who I like. I think he's a smart, disciplined coach. I think he fits the culture. I think he's going to bring the culture. Detroit doesn't really have a culture. He's going to fit the city of Detroit. I think he's a great coach. He's done fantastic with the 49ers. I think he's my choice. I think he's going to be the guy. I think it makes sense and checks every box. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
The question is, are they going to build a defensive team for him? Most defensive coordinators have that defensive mentality. Are they going to build a defensive team for him in Detroit? Because Detroit, they don't have a very good plan of building teams. Where they've had this quarterback for over a decade now, and they've never really built a full team around him other than when they had Megatron. So is this team going to give him the kind of talent he needs that's going to fit what he wants to do? He's going to be a defensive guy. He's going to build up that defense, and he's going to want an offense that's not going to kill him. Are they going to give him the kind of talent he needs for that, or are they going to try and give him this offensive juggernaut that he can't really coach to? I think you're seeing that in Denver with Vic Fangio. Don't make that same mistake. If you have a defensive coach who's going to more of a manage the game and give me 20 points and keep it less, give him the talent he needs to do that. Load up that defense, give him a good offense, and work with him that way.
Yeah. So what would be your Detroit choice, your coach?
I agree with Saleh. As long as they build it, that's not a bad. Let's think. We talk about the assistants coming up. Robert Saleh is a good fit in Detroit. I wouldn't put him with a young quarterback that's building. Give him a defense. You got a veteran quarterback. Let him build up the defense his way. Lord knows Matt Patricia's way didn't work. And what you do is go from there.
Absolutely. All right, last one, and then we'll get you in there, Jeff. We appreciate it. Everybody, like and subscribe to the channel. Very important. Retweet it and everything. So the Atlanta Falcons fired their original coach and then brought in Raheem Morris as the interim. Do you like them re-signing Raheem Morris, or what are your thoughts there?
I like it. And I thought Raheem Morris deserved another shot after Tampa Bay. He had some early success before he fell off. He came in last year when that team had quit on Dan Quinn. Okay, if you saw those games, they had quit on Dan Quinn.
They were never the team into that Super Bowl.
Absolutely, and they were very competitive the rest of the season. They showed a lot of fire. They brought the fight to teams they had no business being in games with, and they were very competitive. And you look at that, that's the kind of head coach you want. Now, pair him with an offensive coordinator that's going to be able to come in and give him the points that he needs. His defense is going to grow. They're still young. They're still building that defense. Keep him there. He's showing you the ability to lead the team. Now get him the pieces to succeed. All right. And I think that's one of the things, if you look at it, you go out there bringing another coach, he's going to want to come in and wash the whole thing clean. You don't have to wipe the slate clean with Raheem Morris. He already knows the defense. You have too many players on that defense that are actually worse than like Keanu Neal and those guys. So by all means, you have the coordinator on the defense who's also the head coach. Bring in an offensive coordinator now that's going to give you the ability to score a lot of points. You still have receivers on offense with Ridley and Jones, and get the running game together, get the offensive line totally together, and you'll be able to save Matt Ryan another couple of seasons.
There we go. Well, Jeff, we thank you for coming on. We appreciate the time. Feel free to come on anytime you want. Good takes. I'm glad we got to see your face yes. and all the excitement there. So StreamYard appears to be streaming on Twitter and everything else. This appears to be the platform that everybody loves. So, Jeff, thanks again for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. So that was Jeff Barnes. We're going to knock this out. I want to get Cam's opinion. Great takes from Jeff. We don't want to, as a guest, we want to be respectful. If Cam disagrees or I disagree, we can disagree. But, with the limited amount of time, we'll save that for after the fact. So do you want to cover anything of the four teams, or are you ready to go to the Detroit Lions?
No, those four prior teams, I think that we basically hit on Brian Daboll to the Jets. To me, makes the most sense if they're keeping Sam Darnold. If they're drafting Justin Fields, we'll see.
This is the one thing of all the things you said, this is what I wanted to cover. I've got nothing against Brian Daboll. I've never heard of his name before this year. Never. Not once. I acknowledge. Say that again?
Well, I was going to say, he also used to be on Belichick's staff. That's why I've heard of him. He's done a great job with Josh Allen this year. So I think it's time for him to be a head coach.
Okay, well, you can say it's time to be a head coach. Look, he's done a great job with Buffalo, but last time I checked, they've got Josh Allen.
Correct.
Josh Allen's a top 7 overall pick. The Buffalo Bills traded up multiple picks to get Josh Allen. Not only that, I was saving this all day. I saw this report earlier, Cowherd, and some of the other outlets. You're getting a little defensive on me already. You're getting a little uptight. Here we go. You hate it when I drop that knowledge, but I'm about to drop that knowledge. They asked multiple GMs over the next 5 years, would you rather have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? The majority of the NFL GMs said they would choose Josh Allen.
That doesn't surprise me.
Wow, that doesn't surprise you. I thought you were going to get animated.
He's smarter. He doesn't take as many hits, and he's bigger.
And here's what I think. I agree with that. Look, Patrick Mahomes is better than Josh Allen. But availability is the biggest key. And this was my prediction about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is great. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Okay? However, he had one MVP season, which was great. He had one season last year, which was also a great season where he missed several games because of injury. And then he had heroics, Houdini, in the playoffs. I'm telling you right now, the Buffalo Bills, if they play him, and I believe they will in the AFC Championship game.
I agree.
I'm taking the Bills because I'm thinking the Bills can roll up 40 or 45 points, occasionally 50 plus, like they did before. Okay? So the Chiefs are going to have to – this 24-23 kind of a deal, 27-24, 30
the
points.
Chiefs will be able to pull a rabbit out of their hat against
that ain't going to cut it again. I'm
Remember,
telling you,
all
the Bills –
playoff games last year, the Chiefs fell behind by double digits. That's not right. You're not doing that against the Bills.
Right. So with all respect to Brian Daboll, what did he do for New England? Because I know you follow New England. Because I get no emotional juice out of that.
He was a special assistant to Josh McDaniels.
Special assistants. Okay. So he was a special assistant for the greatest coach, and then he also has got one of the best young quarterbacks in the league that's big, 6'5", 240 pounds. He's big, he's strong, he's mobile, he's smart. This guy checks everything, and he gets better every year.
Zach Taylor.
Say that again?
You fear he would be Zach Taylor, the guy who was hired by the Bengals, who was under McVay in L.A., under McVay and Goff. What does he really do?
It's not a fear, it's a reality.
Right.
Here's what you're saying to me. If I'm a Jets fan, if I'm a Jets everything, you're pitching, so you're Brian Daboll's agent.
Okay.
You're saying, oh, I followed him in New England. He was a great special assistant wisdom guy. Oh, great. Okay, so he's a guy that looks at a board and he says, hey, I think this would be a great call, Mr. McDaniels. I agree. Let's call that play. Okay, so that's a skill there. And then he goes to Buffalo, and he goes to the coach of Buffalo, your boy, what's his name?
Sean McDermott.
Sean McDermott. He wanted to call him Sean McVay. Sean McDermott does a great job. He is a great coach. Josh Allen's a great quarterback, and he's riding the coattails, coaching all these great plays. My question is, how well can he work with Sam Darnold? How well can he work with a dilapidated Jets team that needs a lot of options at many levels?
Well, actually, I have his coaching history up in front of me right now. Do you want to hear some of it?
Give me the Cliff Notes version of the last 10 years. I don't want to. Nobody really is overly enamored with. I know you're enamored with Brian Daboll. But go ahead. Last 10 years.
Well, he became an offensive coordinator first for the Browns about 10 years ago. Before that, he was a wide receivers coach for the Patriots and for the Jets. He actually is worked under both Bill Belichick and Nick Saban because he actually went and worked at Alabama for a couple of years before going to Buffalo. So we know we can take a mean boss.
Okay, so he can take a mean boss. Is that what we're doing now? So he can work under harsh conditions under Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Bill Belichick, whoever the stern mean guy is. And if the coach says, print out these 75 pieces of paper and take it to that guy, get this cup of coffee and give it to that guy, get this bagel and give it to that guy, he's not going to complain.
Give me my donuts, right?
Okay. I would rather, and I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about corporate America. I'm talking about me. I would rather have a guy that pushes back against Bill Belichick and says, no, Bill, you're wrong because the outside backer doesn't do this. The tight end on the left doesn't do this. We got to watch the edge rusher here and blah, 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 blah. That's the guy. That guy might be a little bit more confrontational, but the confrontational guys like Jimmy Johnson are great coaches.
So when you hear Bill Belichick's tree, you think yes, man, right?
Yes. When I hear, look, I respect more than anybody. I respect the umbrella of the Patriots. Okay, the organizational structure. I respect that. Belichick's on top, everybody else below. That's great. What I'm telling you is what he hires, especially now. Now that he's reached an elite status, he typically hires yes men. Yes, there's a handful of guys that have come out of that. Okay, Brian Flores has done a great job so far. He's came out of that. He looks great. Scratch that. The guy Vrabel, the coach, the player who's now the coach, he looks like he's done a great job. But you know what? There's also flaws in both of those guys. Brian Flores' flaw, he doesn't have an offense. Matt Patricia's flaw is Matt Patricia. He's not a good coach. So
he was a disaster.
Those are the disasters there. So I'm going to wrap this up, and we're going to end this video in a minute. So like and subscribe to the channel.
By the way, I agree with both of you guys. I have Robert Saleh in Detroit and Raheem Morris staying in Atlanta.
Yeah, Robert Saleh in Detroit. By the way, and so we're going to cover Atlanta in a second. So I'm going to say this about Detroit. Robert Saleh would be good. He would build the culture in Detroit. Tough. Yeah, I get what Jeff was saying. Jeff was saying, well, they're more of an offensive-driven team, and they are. But you know what? Matt Stafford's 32, but he's an old 32. He's got a max. Anyway. He could be gone anyway. And you know what? If I was Detroit, I would be done with Matt Stafford.
It's time.
It's time. No matter. Am I a fan of getting rid of franchise quarterbacks? No. But the max he's going to be in the NFL is going to be 2 to 3 years, and that's being optimistic. I think realistically, he's got 2 years left, maybe 3 if things get very wild. I would trade him for whatever I could get for him. I would trade him. Trade him to New England. Trade him to a team where you feel you could get a pick or two. Rebuild this team. Focus on defense. Let Robert Saleh build San Fran 2.0. power running game, good offensive line, good defensive line, tough defense with Sherman and all the other guys and Abosa. Let him build his team. Let him cook. They were talking about let Russell cook. Let him cook. That's what I would do. And I could see Detroit. And the fact that Detroit, it's not a sexy place. It's not. Free agents don't want to go to Detroit. They don't. It's just not. It's not an LA or Miami or it's just not that kind of a place. No disrespect to the people of Detroit. I know if the people of Detroit see this, they're going to get angry. I'm telling you, Robert Saleh is tough and disciplined. Detroit needs to get back to the bad boys mentality, except in football. Tough.
You're saying
rough,
he fits the culture.
He fits the culture. He's tough. He's defensive. He's disciplined. He's firm. He would fit and check every box.
I believe he's from Dearborn, so he's going home.
I believe he was born and raised in Dearborn. You're talking about 30 miles away. So he's been born and bred and groomed and everything in that city, Detroit and Dearborn. He would be a perfect fit. Last thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to wrap this up. You got to like and subscribe, and you can't make any negative comments at all unless you subscribe. What's that?
To Jaguars fans, that's a message to you.
Yeah, to Jaguars fans who are going to get angry because they're going to get very angry.
I gave him a good coach, Greg Roman. I gave him a good coach.
Yeah, I know, Greg Roman. We'll see. Does Greg Roman come with Lamar Jackson? Does he come with Lamar Jackson? Because I would sign if I could do that 2-for-1 deal. We bring Lamar Jackson and Greg Roman. I would sign that agreement. Okay. Last thing I want to get into. Here's what I would do with Raheem Morris. I would bring back Raheem Morris. I disagree with Jeff for the reasons why. I'm not a fan of Raheem Morris. He did not deserve any opportunities after Tampa Bay because he did a terrible job in Tampa Bay. So I was respectful of Jeff on that, but no, he did not do a good job. Do I think Raheem Morris is a great coach? No, I do not. I think he's middle of the road at best. However, Atlanta was such a dumpster fire their first 5, 6, 7 games. Raheem Morris at least came in and did a good job of making Atlanta competitive. So that
they played hard for him.
They played hard for him. Atlanta may not have the most talent. They may not have the most whatever. They've got
they absolutely quit on Dan Quinn.
They quit on Dan Quinn.
That onside kick was the only thing you needed to see.
Mr. Quinn, the medicine man, they quit on him, and that's why he got fired. Atlanta was what, 0-4 when they fired him?
I was either 0-4 or 1-3, yeah.
0-4, 1-3, whatever it was.
Right.
So let's call it 1-3. But Dan Quinn is out. So, yes, I believe, and the NFL is trying to go to more diverse. So Raheem Morris checks that box. It's not just about being diverse, but, he did a good job. For filling in for a guy is not easy.
No, it's not.
I thought he did a good job. Romeo Crennel, who nobody's even said his name. Nobody. I've not seen a single podcast or any forum that is pro Romeo Crennel for Houston.
Well, the Texans already said they're not bringing him back. They've already officially ruled
That's 100%.
That's ruled out. Yep.
So he's out.
Yes.
So Romeo Crennel is 100% out.
Yes.
Now, I
believe the Texans fired their entire coaching staff, actually.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Let me take it. So Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator. I'm looking at the picture right now. I'm looking at the top-ranked guys here. Of course, Robert Saleh. I'm trying to get the guy, Eric Bieniemy, the guys we've already mentioned. Excuse me. Todd Bowles would be good. Let's take a look here. Here's another guy that's getting a lot of steam. Joe Brady, offensive coordinator for Carolina. What are your thoughts on him?
Offensive or defensive?
Offensive coordinator.
I mean, the season that offense had, I'm not into that. No.
Okay. Pat Fitzgerald.
Teddy Bridgewater is limited, but
yeah, Pat Fitzgerald, head coach of Northwestern. Does that jump out at you?
Not in the slightest.
All right. Here's one of the last ones that I will mention. And here's a guy that nobody has brought up in any of this, but I would absolutely bring up Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator for Green Bay.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, under Matt LaFleur there, they've committed to running the ball with Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers obviously might have just had the best year of his career. He's probably going to win league MVP. He was just named first team All-Pro quarterback today.
No, it looks like we got a guest here. It looks like we got Coach David Trogue from St. Louis. Dave, how are you?
Not bad, man. How's it going, Press?
Pretty well. So we were just talking coaches. I was just about to reach out to you, but I was like, let's keep it going. Bring in the fire. So, and, so how have things been going there as far as we're talking about all the coaches here. So we're not going to go over all of them, but if you were the Jacksonville Jaguars, would you hire Urban Meyer, or are you done with Urban Meyer?
No way. Not only for the fact that there's a long track record of college coaches that leave college and then come to the pros and are utter failures. On top of that, the money. I mean,
Right.
Is he really going to get? What's he asking for? What's the report like? 12
12. I've seen some reports at 12 million. I've seen other reports as high as 14 million.
So you're going to pay your coach more than pretty much all your players except your quarterback, who's on the field.
The salary doesn't really stun me because Matt Rule just got $10 million from Carolina. So,
well, and Gruden got what? I mean, Gruden's making what, like $10 million a year?
Okay,
Gruden has a contract like that too.
Gruden's making $10 million a year, and he's got points in ownership. But you have to look at each case individually. You could say, first of all, let's take John Gruden. John Gruden did win a Super Bowl, and he coached for the current owner's father. So you're talking about bonus points on top of bonus points on top of bonus points in his favor for John Gruden. Whether you like him or not, you talk about bonus points. Whereas Matt Rule, Carolina was a dumpster fire, so they had to overpay Matt Rule just to make their fans happy.
You know, another thing about Rule is too he's coached in the NFL, not as a head coach, obviously, but he was an offensive line coach.
Right.
You know, with the Giants. So, and I also think, you know, when you can coach an offensive line, you know, that's a position that not a lot of, you know, it's obviously not a sexy, glorified position. They do all the dirty work. But there's a lot of cohesiveness that goes along with playing with those other four guys when you're one of those five. And then your backups. It's very cohesive, right? I mean, if you're not working as a unit, I mean, it's going to fail. Where, hey, if you're a receivers coach,
right?
Does it really care? I mean,
no, you're right about that. Not only that, with the offensive line, let's be real about it. You're an offensive line coach. You've got five guys that could rip your head off without even trying.
You imagine trying to boss around Mekhi Becton?
There's a balance.
Right? Yeah.
There's a balance. You're right. There's a balance between let me overcoach these guys, because some coaches, now you're a coach. Some coaches have a tendency to yell and scream and go totally buck wild. That's great for the receivers. The receivers might cry in the corner and go over back and tackle a trash can if they get carried away. But your offensive linemen, they are gelled together. There is that cohesive unit. So there's a fine balance of getting the right five guys together, not always the best five guys, right?
Yeah, and that goes a long way with being able to control a room too. I mean, hey, offensive linemen, I would consider them the protectors of the team. I mean, everything starts at the line of scrimmage, and if you fail there, well, I mean, the odds are going to be that you're going to fail across the board on offense. So, yeah, as far as Urban Meyer, I'm no expert, but I wouldn't hire the guy. Here's the other thing: how long? Okay, so if they have two losing seasons, what's going to be the next health event that comes up where he's like, I feel bad again?
Yeah,
you know
I guarantee you, if they go 3-13 or 4-12 after 2 years, 3 years, he's going to have medical problems. He will have gotten $40 million in 3 years, and he's like, you know what? This sucks. Let me go back to take my $40 million. Let me create a fake illness. He pretends that he loves his family. I'm not saying he doesn't love his family, but nobody loves their family. For $12 million, I know tons of men that would abandon their family for $12 million. Let's
right. All of a sudden, he was going to lose Tim. He was going to lose Tim Tebow. He's like, I'm not feeling too good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So let's now. You've been following. So this is a two-part. You've been following the Buffalo Bills. The very first guy we chose, we had Jeff on. Works for Cover 2. Works for No Huddle Necessary. He's got several podcasts going on. He likes Eric Bieniemy for the Jets. Our own Cam Vieira likes Brian Daboll. What is your thoughts on Brian Daboll getting a head coaching job with the Jets or the Chargers? Do you like that, or are you not sold on that?
Yeah, I like Daboll. I mean, he's obviously proven himself. I mean, he proved himself with Alabama. And who was he? He was with
he was coach for the Patriots.
The Patriots. Yeah, he was with the Patriots. So he obviously –
I'm not going to ask you if you hate the Patriots with Cam's
no, I've been hearing it my whole life. I can take it if he does.
Okay. Because Cam seems to think that everybody loves New England, you know, outside of New England. I remember he's down here. We went to Burns Steakhouse.
Oh, boy.
And this was like 3-4 years ago when the Patriots were good. Sorry. But so when the Patriots were good and they were the team to beat when they had Tom Brady, they were a great team. And Cam, we were joking, going through the wine tour, and this guy said something negative about the Patriots. And I thought Cam was going to strangle this guy, grab the $10,000 bottle of wine and smash him over the head. I said, Cam, relax. We're in Tampa. Not everybody's Tampa. In fact, most people don't. So, but no, so Brian Daboll is interesting. My question that I always ask every year, does this exciting, exotic offensive coordinator, does he come with Patrick Mahomes? Does he come with Josh Allen? Because everybody's a genius with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Bruce Arians, risk it for the biscuit system with Jameis a year ago was horrible. Now everybody's like, wow, Bruce Arians is such a great, quarterback whisperer and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So you want to get into, Dave, you want to get into the Buffalo Bills. You said you got some fire for the Bills. Let's hear it.
I've been saying for 6 or 7 weeks, I think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. I think that, right now, if I was a betting man, I'd put money on the Bills.
Wow.
As we know,
all in.
Yeah, for sure. And, the Bills, as we know with the playoffs, especially NFL, the hottest team usually is the one that makes that run, right? And I would probably –
a few weeks.
I would say the Bills are the hottest team. And actually, they've scored the most points in the NFL this year. Most people, if you had to ask most people, I don't think 8 out of 10 people would ever pick the Bills.
You're probably right. They would probably say Green Bay.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
Or another team.
Yeah,
the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean the Chiefs dipped because the last game they lost a lot of points, as well as Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been, bipolar. They're like Big Ben's personality. But no, I will say this. A couple weeks ago, I saw Cowherd's show, and he said the Buffalo Bills. He's got some kind of weird mustard bet with Nick Wright. I still don't even know what that's all about. They got to rub mustard on it. I don't know. It's a cryptic formula that he's got where if they don't win, I think the Bills have to go to the AFC Championship game. So if they do not go to the AFC Championship game, Cowherd's got to get doused in mustard. And then Nick Wright made some kind of odd bet that he said the Bills won't win a game because Nick Wright seems to hate everybody. For some reason, Nick Wright can't give anybody credit. So,
well, he hates Josh Allen.
I love Josh Allen. By the way, I agree with you. I think at first, the early adapters like you and Cowherd, some of the early adapters to Buffalo, I still remember last year I watched both games with Josh Allen against the Patriots when they had the number one defense. The first game, Josh Allen looked very rocky. That second game, he smacked around New England. He looked strong, and he's getting better and better and better with Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley. I do think the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC.
He's the best quarterback in the league this year.
Yeah. So I like Josh Allen. I like Tampa Bay. I do think my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going to say it. I've been saying all year, that's my team. I can't – when Tom Brady leaves, it's like the supermodel. He's got the supermodel wife. It's like the supermodel choosing you to go to the dance when you didn't even know she was available. And so Tom Brady chooses the Bucs out of nowhere, leaves New England. So, I'm taking Tampa Bay and Buffalo as well, and I'm taking a close one. And I'm taking Tom Brady might be down, but I'm taking more magic. The magic of Tom Brady in the Super Bowl to bring the Bucs over. Right? 28-3. I think the Bills will be up. Here's my prediction. The Bills will be up 28-3. And then Tom Brady comes marching back. He goes, screw brisket for the biscuits, and he just starts throwing touchdowns. That's my pick, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, if you look at those two teams, they're actually really similar, right? Especially on offense and defense. Now, obviously, Josh Allen's more athletic than Tom Brady, blah, blah, blah.
What?
I know, right? That's the most shocking statement anybody's made here today. But if you look at the offensive structure, though, he throws to everybody. Josh Allen leads the league this year in touchdown passes thrown to different receivers. And then if you also look at Tampa, if Mike Evans is healthy with that hyperextension in his knee, just go across the board. They have, 6-7 guys they can throw to? Same thing as the Bills. And then if you look on defense, they're not stout. They're not like, you would say a championship caliber defense that you would ride all the way.
I would say the defense for Tampa Bay is not a historic defense, but I feel the NFL has changed. It's changed. Has. Yeah, the NFL's changed where, if this really happens, if the Bills and the Bucs play, you could see I will predict the highest scoring Super Bowl ever. It could be a 40-37 shootout.
It's actually funny. So I actually just turned in a playoff pool, like a bracket today.
Yeah.
I picked the Bucs and the Bills to be in the Super Bowl, and the combined score I had 72 points.
There you go. There you go. In years past, that would have been crazy. In years past, that would have been crazy. However, look, here's why I'm taking the Bills. You could say, Preston, you're a homer. You're picking the Bucs. No, I'm picking the Bucs, and here's the Bills. Could the Bills beat the Bucs 52-48? Yes, the Bills could win. The Bills could score.
You can see it go either way.
I can see it going either way.
Yeah.
I just believe the Bucs. I do not believe the Bills have the defense. I do not. I've seen their defense has just their defense. If their defense was half as good as it was a year ago, the Bills would be clear-cut the favorite. For whatever reason, the Bills' defense has just not been there.
Their run defense is lacking. Yes.
Yeah, their run defense, their pass defense, every kind of defense you could imagine. The Bills' defense has been terrible.
Picking is the I mean, to me, the Packers' defense is lacking. We talked about it earlier. I mean, who's getting to the quarterback? Is it Darius Smith? Hey, come on.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not saying
Packers
he's not good. Obviously, he's good, but I mean,
the Packers are going to lose next week.
It wouldn't shock me.
Right. Look, the Bucs. People are forgetting this. The Bucs already whipped the Packers. They already whipped them badly.
And you can say whatever you want about Lambeau Field and 4-degree weather. Tom Brady's not afraid of that. It didn't bother him at all. He'll go in there and play well.
He played there in Boston for 20 years.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing that people are missing. Yeah. Yes, Tom Brady likes the Tampa, Florida sun and all that, and that's all great and exciting to get a bunch of clicks. Tom Brady can play in the snow. Tom Brady can play in Lambeau. In fact, I'll make a prediction right now. Tom Brady might even punch Aaron Rodgers in the face if they go to Lambeau. How about that? How you like that for some excitement? Say that again.
It's the Seahawks in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson. I mean, I know the Seahawks haven't been. Seahawks have really struggled in the second half of the season. So has Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson plays in Seattle. Not really the greatest weather, ever. So he also played in Wisconsin. He played in Wisconsin for a year. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see either the Bucs or the Seahawks roll into Green Bay and beat them. And hey, yeah, it's Lambeau, but they don't have fans. Were they going to have 5 fans there because that's all they can be allowed in? That goes into it because there's a certain energy. I don't remember somebody they interviewed. It might have been on Pat McAfee's show was talking about. Yeah, there is a different energy without fans. There 100% is, and you can even see it if you're watching the game. It's a little different. So to me, yeah, either the Bucs or the Seahawks could roll into Green Bay and beat them. I don't have any faith in anybody outside of Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is great, but all I want to say is this: Ryan Tannehill got a 45-yard quarterback sneak against the Packers. So if that's all you need, if you've watched no football all year, you just woke out of a coma, and I said this guy is going to do a quarterback sneak for 45 yards and a touchdown and go untouched. It's not like he made this Lamar Jackson too quick, bam, to the house. He was falling and stumbling as bad as you can stumble in a 45-yard run, and it was terrible. What are your thoughts on that, Cam?
No, it was absolutely. Green Bay's defense can definitely be had. Green Bay, and look, I predict them to lose next week. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. But they're not winning the Super Bowl unless Aaron Rodgers literally puts that team on his shoulders and carries them on his back. They're not. It's just too dependent on him. And he had a phenomenal year. And I said this the other night, I'll say it again. I give him a ton of credit for using the Jordan Love pick as motivation and not pouting about it. And it was he had a phenomenal year, but it's just him. They don't have much of a defense.
Speaking of that, could you imagine if Green Bay would have either traded up? Let's see, how many spots would they have to trade it up for Justin Jefferson?
I think it was like two spots. Two spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say they would have traded up for Justin Jefferson, or they would have taken T. Higgins or Michael Pittman.
Correct.
Dave, you're saying the Green Bay Packers, just so we're clear, because there's somebody, for those watching the middle, that would love Jordan Love, but he's got a Patriots hat on. Now, here is the thing, and he was in love with it. I said it was the dumbest pick ever. Cam is still doubling down, saying, he used it as motivation. No, if I was I'm not saying if I was Aaron Rodgers, I would have punched Jordan Love right in the face and thrown him down the stairs. But if it would have happened, it would have happened. I'm just saying, you bring up a good point. This Green Bay Packers team would be the team to beat in the NFC if they had T. Higgins, if they had Justin Jefferson. They traded up to get a guy that can't even beat out Tim Boyle for the backup job.
Yeah, and, I understand. I understand the process because they did it with Aaron, right? I mean, they took him at what, like 24 in 2005, and then they let him sit for
With
3
Brett
years.
Favre coming to the end, right? Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers was almost picked one.
Yes,
Like Jordan
that's
Love,
what
it
I'm
was
That's what he
never.
said that the equivalent would have been if Joe Burrow fell in the draft.
Yes,
And
if
they traded
Joe Burrow would have fell, I would have said, which that would have never happened, but I would have said, of course you do something crazy. Jordan Love was never a top 2. He was never a top 3 quarterback. Never.
No, and the thing is too is Rodgers could play another 4 or 5 years. I mean, so why don't you build around him while you still have him to try to at least get one more, right? I mean, now if they get one more and still get loved, then they look like geniuses. And
Correct.
I'm a moron, right? And
the other comp you
Well,
made,
let me say this, and I'm gonna go in on this. And look, I don't hate Jordan Love personally. I'm not saying I would crash into his car if I saw him driving in downtown Tampa. I would never advocate that.
He's the worst signature you've ever seen.
You're right. What I'll say about Jordan Love, he seems like a nice guy. He just sucks at quarterback. So, in his job as quarterback. So
Right.
that's a problem. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying he sucks at quarterback and his job as quarterback. He threw a lot of interceptions. He climbed up the draft board because people fell in love with him. Oh, he's like Patrick Mahomes. No, he most certainly is not Patrick Mahomes. I said, if this guy's half as good as Dak Prescott, you'd be thrilled. He's not even that. So you've wasted that pick. It's a wasted pick because you've traded a first and a second round pick for a guy that has 0 to no chance of playing for 3 years. 0 to no chance. And I don't think in 4 or 5 years, this guy turns out to be Aaron Rodgers 2.0. I don't even think he turns out to be Dak Prescott 2.0. I just don't see it from this guy.
Well, and this is the NFL now too, because I mean, so Mahomes went to Texas Tech. I'll say it's not a small school, but for quarterbacks, it's not being known for having successful quarterbacks playing the NFL. You have Josh Allen play to Wyoming. You have Carson Wentz. Think whatever
North
you want
Dakota
Carson
State,
Wentz,
right?
North Dakota State. And so you're seeing, I mean, even if you go back to Derek Carr, he played at Fresno State. So you have
one of the top prospects this year, North Dakota State, Trey Lance.
Yeah. So you see, I mean, there's this trend where you're seeing more guys that have the skill set that I think it's almost like baseball, where if you have the position, it's like a baseball draft. You don't necessarily choose a guy in the baseball draft based off position need. You're picking the skill set, and then you're hoping that you can develop that skill set. Where I think you're seeing more teams in the NFL now do that, especially with quarterback, saying, "Okay, I like the skill set." No, but the problem is if you can't be dominant, at least to a certain extent, at a school like Nevada, I don't know. That's a red flag for me. I mean, to me that's a lot of uncoaching. But I don't know. Maybe they had conversations with a guy that obviously we don't have, and they knew something. But I'm with you. I don't.
Let me just set this real quick because people are like Jordan Love. Okay, so his sophomore year, he threw 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Okay, phenomenal.
16 picks in the last year he was there. Wasn't it 16?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. So his last year, which was his junior season, keep in mind he played in the Mountain West Conference, which is a dumpster fire, to be generous to dumpster fires. He threw only 20 touchdowns and had 17 interceptions, which is horrific. 20 touchdowns. Look, I don't have a problem if his freshman year he comes in his freshman year and throws 20 touchdowns in 17. Right. Jameis Winston threw 19. Yeah. So in college with Kelvin Benjamin, a 6'5", who was before he went off the wagon, was great.
Well, so, every starter in that offense ended up playing in the NFL and starting at some point. So it's like, yeah,
right. So I'm not going to kill a guy, but again, 20 touchdowns is terrible for college. 17 interceptions is abysmal. Aaron Rodgers just completed a season where he threw 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in the NFL. Okay, that's the NFL, the elite of the elite. And you're telling me that I got to choose a guy that was in a crappy conference who got 17 interceptions. I don't need to know anything else. Don't tell me about his 3-cone drill. Don't tell me about anything else. If you show me his 3-cone drill, I'm throwing you out of the room. Oh, but coach, there's a guy's 3-cone drill. Who cares about his 3-cone drills? Because I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't have drafted this guy to be the manager of at Dairy Queen with his 3-cone drills. And you're choosing him and you're trading up for him. I'm telling you.
Be the successor to Aaron Rodgers, right?
And I said this as well, and I'm talking about evaluating because I love the draft more than anything. I said Justin Herbert, this is not Monday Morning Quarterback. I said Justin Herbert. Let me see if we get this straight. He's 6'6", he's 240 pounds, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he's cerebral, he's mobile. This guy checks every box and then checks boxes you didn't even ask to check. And somehow his stock was dropping. Okay.
And I'll admit, I was wrong on Herbert. And,
so was I.
You both were haters!
But this is the thing. So I think after you go back and you look, this is where coaching can really affect a player, right? Especially in college, where obviously the offense they ran at Oregon was wrong for Justin Herbert.
Yes.
Because if you go back, so I like going back and watching film, especially on the quarterbacks. And if you go back and you watch, he had a lot of difficulties with accuracy on outside throws. He would open up his hips too early, and then he would get under the ball and everything would float high. Well, this year, that didn't happen. Like when you go back and you watch him, he's putting balls right. The only place that you can put him where the receiver can make the play.
Perfect.
So,
on the dime.
Yeah. So to me, that also tells me a lot about Herbert. He's coachable.
Yes.
Which that goes a lot. That's huge.
Let me. I don't want to go to the whole thing, but you got Joe Burrow, you got Tua, you got Herbert. Okay, here's what I said. Everybody was like, "Oh, Tua, tank for Tua," and that was
going to be the worst out of all of them.
I said Tua is going to be the worst, but here's why.
Matt Leinart.
Yeah, he does.
He's only worse than Jalen Hurts to win in the second round.
You know what? That's a great comparison, Matt Leinart. I hadn't really thought about that too much, but that's a good comparison. My biggest problem with Tua, it's not that he's short by NFL standards. So he's barely 6 foot. So automatically out of the gate, red flag being barely 6 feet.
You better be Russell Wilson.
So you're asking, he's the next Russell Wilson or Drew Brees. No, those are 2 unicorns. You're asking Russell Wilson and Drew Brees. You found 2 unicorns out of a million.
And Kyler Murray's borderline midget, but runs like a 4.4, 4.5.
He's an elite athlete, right? Yeah. Right, borderline midget. That's going to be trending on Twitter. But the midget community, the Jacksonville Jaguar community already hates us. Now the midgets in Jacksonville are going to go.
St. Louis, man, the Cardinals left us. The Bidwell's picked up and moved in like 88. So
yeah, exactly. So. But about Tua, so he's short. He's a midget, close to the midget level, as you would say. He's also not a good athlete for NFL standards. He's also injury prone, and he has again a bad hip.
The guy broke his freaking hip.
Forget the guy's name. Forget his name. If I was doing a corporate PowerPoint presentation, and I said, guys, I've got a great company to buy. Okay, the machines are broken. They're smaller than all the other machines. He worked for a great company that everybody does well, even if they slobber all day in Alabama, they end up doing well. Now, buy my company for $100 million. You'd say, no, what are you talking about? And that's why I'm like, why are people slobbering all over themselves into it? He's been exactly that. The games that he's won, one game he won 98. He scored through 98 yards. Another game he threw 120. He's not a bad guy. He could be a backup. He's a smart, cerebral. He's not even that smart, to be honest. He had a 13 on the Wonderlic. That's another. To me, I see flag. And
he just got crushed with the playoffs on the line last week.
And he did a horrible job against Buffalo, who doesn't even have a great defense.
Yeah, the Tua situation to me is just so reminiscent of 2006 with Matt Leinart, because that USC team. Oh man, that USC team. It was loaded. It was like the Florida State team. I mean, all those guys and the
LSU
Miami team, the LSU team, all these, all the position players.
You mean all the pros they had, like Reggie Bush? Yeah. They had an unfair advantage.
Oh, you mean they were getting paychecks like the pros?
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah.
So it's just very reminiscent. Now, obviously, they're both lefties, so that obviously pops off the screen. But it's just really reminiscent to me of the Leinart situation. Leinart looked awesome in college. The guy won the damn Heisman, but. I don't know. The whole thing just really reminiscent to me of the Matt Leinart situation, where it was more of the situation than the skill set that transferred over. But yeah, I'm with you on Tua. I don't think the Dolphins have the right guy. But
imagine this. Imagine if the Dolphins had drafted Justin Herbert instead of Tua. I guarantee you the Dolphins would be at least 12-4, if not better, because they have a real defense. Flores has done a great job, and Justin Herbert is a next level guy. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow's career is over. I'm not saying it's all over. But what I am saying is that they might have ruined him.
I love Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow, the moxie, the work ethic, and all that. But man, Cincinnati just knows how to kill quarterbacks and kill position players.
They killed Carson Palmer. They killed Andy Dalton. Now they're killing Joe Burrow.
Who's the right tackle? Hold on. I gotta look this up. The right tackle. I watched. Somebody brought up a film, and
is that the guy with the titties?
I think so. Oh,
I'm sorry to say this. He had the worst combine run ever. I think he was a right tackle. I forgot his name. I want to say Wadsworth, but that's not his name.
It's not.
He for some reason somebody told this guy he was an Under Armour model. I don't know what happened there, but when you get hit in the eyes with your titties, you gotta,
Bobby Hart. It's Bobby Hart.
Bobby Hart, yeah.
If anybody's interested, you just go to Twitter. You can probably find it on YouTube too. Just type in Bobby Hart. I guess you want to call them highlights. They're defensive player. They're highlights for the defense. He's literally a turnstile. So the fact that Joe Burrow even made it past a game or two without losing his knee the way he did is
it wasn't just the hits, it was his usage rate. Wasn't Cincinnati throwing like 60 times a game?
Yeah, well, Zach Taylor, it's the Brown family too. I mean, they're so cheap. Like Zach Taylor's horrible. And I said this before last year. I thought they should have hired Joe Brady. That's who I would have hired. I would have hired Joe Brady.
But the thing with Zach Taylor was he was under McVay. We all know what McVay does. He's telling Goff everything before the snap. What is Zach Taylor there for?
I'll be honest, and I'll say this here. I think McVay is the most overrated coach.
Whoa!
And maybe all of coaching.
Don't tell that to Cam, because Cam was telling me just the other day you love his feathery bangs and his good looks. Pretty much 9 things that have nothing to do with football. President, don't you know that McVay has a cool house and a hot wife? Again, that's great. McVay's a cool guy. I'm glad
he lives in LA and makes a bunch of money.
Let me tell you all of those things. Let me tell you what bothers me the most about Sean McVay that nobody has brought up: his fake John Gruden voice. His fake John Gruden voice. Listen to his next press conference. He's like, we got to do Raider Nation. We're like, why is he talking about Raider Nation? What the hell is he talking about? Like, because the 1 year he worked under Gruden, when he was very young, he was 22, 23, he coaches like a more polished John Gruden without the, but he total copies the fake John Gruden voice. He's got it down nailed.
Now, even though I said that, if you go back, Washington had McVay and Sean McDermott as coordinators at one point. Man, how bad did they screw that up?
They royally screwed it up. So Cam, you gotta respond to that, because look, I do think in the early days, I told Cam a couple years ago the Patriots were going to beat the Rams because Bill Belichick is just a better coach than McVay. Period. No doubt about it.
And that's exactly what happened.
I do feel Sean McVay over the last 2 years has gotten better. And to be fair to McVay, I think he's done a great job with Jared Goff. Unless you feel Jared Goff is just, something. When I saw that, not the 30 for 30, but when I saw
we're talking about the same Jared Goff that doesn't know where the sun rises.
When he doesn't know where the sun rises and sets.
Yeah.
Look, when I'm scouting, when I'm looking at the draft, we're not hiring a guy to go sell furniture and to sell copiers, okay? When you're a quarterback in the NFL, you have to be the smartest guy. You've got to be able
to trade up,
be able to process.
You've got to process information. You've also got to do all these things. You've also got to be boring. You've got to eat avocado toast at 9 p.m. and then your herbal tea and then go straight to bed, and then maybe you get an extra 20 minutes to hook up with your supermodel wife. That is the business model to be great. And Drew Brees and Peyton Manning. You can't be Dwayne Haskins late at night. Let's have some lemon pepper wings and put a little sauce on it, and then you roll in at noon and like, why, guys? I went to has lemon pepper wings last night.
So let me get that glitter off my face.
So tell me why. Yeah. So tell me what it is specifically about Sean McVay that you hate. Is it just the love from the media that they're just slobbering all over him?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with that. It's not that he's a bad coach. He is obviously a good coach, but what also has made him look very good was they went from Jeff Fisher to really anybody with half a brain could have taken that offense and made it look all pro. But I think McVay is very predictable in a lot of his stuff. He runs the same stuff. Now, it might be better if they had a different quarterback. I think the position they gave Goff was ridiculous. I mean, I would have rather, drafted somebody and let him sit for 2 years and then start. I don't know. A lot of the stuff with McVay is probably tied to Goff, for better or for worse. But he's good. I just don't think he's this elite level offensive thinker.
Now, Cam, you disagree because you told me you love his haircut. Now, when we're talking about football, when we pregame the show,
I'm growing my hair out. My haircut isn't very good.
There you go. There's my hair. I got that Sean McVay hair. Look at that. But
I'm more like Cam. That's what I used to be like for like 20 years.
Cam shaves his head, so maybe that's why he loves Sean McVay. He can't get over the hair. What's your guy? What's your guy in Arizona? What's his name? Your guy? Your boy Cliff. You love Cliff because Cliff, Kingsbury, has got the best house in the league, as we saw from the draft. So now he trumps everything. His house, the hair. Cliff Kingsbury has got everything. Is that right?
No. He just crashed and burned out of the playoffs. No.
But his house. But his house and his hair.
It's got nothing to do with football. I'm not doing it. It's not. No, look, I like McVay. And I do give you credit, Preston, because you did tell me the day after the championship games in 2018, when the Patriots beat the Chiefs and when the Rams beat the Saints, that the Patriots would win by double digits because you expected the Patriots to have a better game plan. And that's exactly what happened. The Rams had a horrible game plan that night. Belichick had a great game plan. They neutralized Goff. It was a slugfest. It was 13-3. It was a low-scoring game, but it was exactly what you predicted.
The defense rest. We should end it there. Anything else? And we appreciate you coming on, Dave. I know we went a little long. We were thinking 5-10 minutes, but I
don't have anything going on.
You had some good takes. So let's take a look here now. So the Bills, we'll go another 5 minutes here. So the Buffalo Bills. Are you not worried about their defense, or you think their offense is too good?
No, see, that's the thing, though, about the Bills. I mean, they did. So the defense obviously isn't lights out, but it can be very opportunistic. I mean, you have Tre'Davious White on one side, Tre'Davious White's one of the top three corners, in my opinion, in football. They also have, Josh Norman. Josh Norman's played in a Super Bowl with the Panthers. He was with the Panthers, right?
Yes, he was.
He was. He's getting a little long in the tooth. Now, I loved Josh Norman a few years ago because the Bucs.
He's long in the tooth, but hey, if you need him, I still think he has enough gas in the tank, though.
Good number two corner, yeah.
He is a good number two corner. Now, for my Buccaneers, I've been wanting the Buccaneers. I wanted them to trade for Stephon Gilmore earlier this year because the Patriots went into pretend to care for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they went back into tank mode, then pretend to care, and then they went back to this weird little thing they were doing.
Don't remind me.
Okay, well, we're talking sports. It goes not to trigger you, but we're talking sports. I'm just saying Gilmore was not happy. Why not trade with the Patriots? Get Gilmore here. He's a little bit older. He's 30, but he's still elite. The Bucs are in win now mode. We are in risk it for the biscuit mode right now, this year and next year. So we should have traded for him. So that's what I would have said about that. And I do feel the Rams game, Bruce Arians, the risk it for the biscuit. I felt we lost that game because of bad coaching, and I felt we lost the Bears game because of bad coaching. Sometimes people don't want to hear this. Sometimes you got to manage the game. Sometimes you have to look at the game flow, and sometimes you're like, okay, it's 6-3, it's 10-3. Let's run the ball. Let's get out of the first. Let's kick a field goal. Let's go up 13-3. Get out of the first half. Adjust at halftime, and then focus on some more passes, some more screens in the second half. Bruce Arians is like, he's got his offensive assistant. He's got Byron Leftwich. Hey, it's 2nd and 1. Risk it for the biscuit. It's 3rd and 1. Risk it for the biscuit.
That topic with the coaching, and a lot of this is bled over into football now too. Baseball is baseball has turned into this sabermetric, this number, this new. Oh, we got we have all these stats that tell us if we go for 2 points every time.
What the percentage play is, right?
Yes, you're right about that with football. Football has become, and I love football, of course, that's my sport, but
it's become heavy analytics. Yeah,
football has become.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
This is what I mean about the defense. This is why I like the Bills' chances and I like the Bucs' chances. It's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, 4th and 4. Historically, they punt 100 times out of 100 until 4 minutes are left in the game. It's the first quarter. You're at midfield. It's 4th and 2. Teams are just going for it. Like, because coaches historically would not go for it because of the fear of being fired. But now coaches are like, I'm going to get fired anyway. Let's risk it for the biscuit.
Pretty much.
So the mentality has changed because of the metrics, so the game has changed. So to me, the level of mid-level defense or better has totally changed. And I said this to Cam last year. The Chiefs didn't have a great defense last year, but I said I felt the defense was good enough with Patrick Mahomes. And they were
at the end of the
and
year.
I think the same with the Bucs and the Bills. The defense.
Same thing with the Bucs and the Bills. And I want to add this before I forget. With the Bucs, do the Bucs have an elite defense? No, I'm not going to pretend that they do. But with Shaq Barrett, with JPP, with Ndamukong Suh, with Devin White, I know he's out with the COVID this week, but if they win, he comes back. Devin White got 9 sacks this year.
Devin White's a stud, dude.
He is phenomenal. He is next level. That the Bucs defense can be good enough, which is why we destroyed guys like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, which are rhythm quarterbacks. We throw him out of his rhythm. That's what my thought. So, yes, the Bucs defense is good enough. I'm not convinced the Bills defense is good enough.
Well, that's kind of my point, though, where they're very structured alike. Because you have Edmonds and Milano up there, a linebacker. Those two guys are studs, too. You have Ed Oliver inside. Jerry Hughes is a little long in the tooth, but he can still get it done. I mean, they both have pieces. There's like 3 or 4 pieces on defense that can make a play at any time. I just don't, man. I think when you look at the whole thing, obviously the Chiefs, I mean, hey, I'm up here in Missouri. Since the Rams left, everybody's a damn Chiefs fan. I hate the Chiefs. I hate Kansas City. Mahomes, I understand the love of Mahomes. He's good, but let's not anoint this guy being the greatest ever yet. I mean,
people already want to put him in the conversation.
Yeah, come on. I mean, he's elite. He's good. He's playing probably, hey, he's one of the top 3 in the league right now. I get it. I'll give him that. But come on.
I was gonna ask you that, Dave. I was gonna ask you that if the St. Louis fans, I didn't want to bring up a sore subject, and then you fly to New England and stab Cam in the leg just because. So, what I was going to ask you is so pretty much nobody in St. Louis has stuck with the Rams. They've not. They've kind of shifted over to Kansas City versus. I know it's a different team, but the Rams. You don't feel any kind of love towards McVay and Jared Goff. You've kind of abandoned them, and it's all Chiefs.
There's a couple people I've known since the Rams have left that still follow the Rams, but everybody either said screw the NFL and don't even follow it anymore,
or screw the Cronkies, right?
Right, screw Enos, and I'm a Chiefs fan now. And a lot of people here still hate, they still hate the Patriots. Like,
I get it.
But I never really hated the Patriots. I have a lot of respect for Belichick. I mean, I know you go through the cheating and all that, but what's there to argue with? They were good. I mean, they're the best team. It's a lot of sore losing type stuff, and I get that to a certain extent. But hey, you got to respect Belichick. I mean, the guy's coaching a third or a quarter of the Super Bowls ever played.
Yeah.
Wow, is that the case? I didn't know that. He's coached a third of the Super Bowls or more.
Coordinator with the Giants.
His coordinators ones, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
yes, you're right. If you talk about the 2 championships with the Giants, you're right. He's won 8 titles. So 2 with the Giants, the coordinator, 6 with the Patriots.
12 overall.
Correct.
Around.
Okay, so he's coaching almost a quarter of the Super Bowls.
You're right. Yeah, quarter. Yeah. No. Look. I've said this to Cam many times. I respect Bill Belichick. So to me, he is the greatest coach of all time. So I said I would love to see the system without Tom Brady. The great system. Yeah, having Tom Brady. Look, don't compare anyone to Tom Brady. Tom Brady's 43. He's breaking all the records. Every record. He's just shattering all the records. Tom Brady is at a different level. But I compare. So when I look at Bruce Arians, I say, what would Bill Belichick? So Belichick to me is the best coach. So I compare Bruce Arians to Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick is great at managing the game, So what I love about Bill Belichick is like, okay, we're playing the Ravens. The Ravens are heavy run. We're not going to get carried away with pass defense. We're not going to focus on. We're going to play run defense, okay? When they play teams like the Bills with Josh Allen, pass all the time, they adjust the defense. They adjust the offense. That's what I wish Bruce Arians would do. Bruce Arians says, I ignore all of that. We're risking it for the biscuit. We're going to play the same way against the Saints.
Do you have any, Preston,
We play the Bills, and we play the same way against the Bears. The Bears should not have been risking biscuit ball. The Bears play vanilla tight ball with great defense, good running game. We should have played very similar to that.
Preston, do you have any faith that he's going to double team Chase Young tomorrow night?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do think he will, because even though I've been critical of Bruce Arians, I know it's Atlanta, but you could say whatever. He did adjust that second half the first time they played Atlanta. He's done a better job of late adjusting. He's listening to Tom Brady more of late at adjusting. And Brady has done a great job of readjusting to the craziness of Bruce Arians. I've noticed in the last 4 games, Tom Brady still has thrown for 400 yards and all these great records, but he has adjusted with Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown specifically running the routes.
Yeah, Antonio Brown's going to have a big week this week. I think he's going to be the guy because I don't think Evans is going to play. And even if he does play, I think he's more of a decoy. But Antonio should be the guy that goes off.
I would agree. Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown have been going buck wild, which is I love it. They run great routes. They both had monster games last year. I wish last game Bruce Arians would have taken out Evans my first thought, as soon as Evans broke the record, getting over 1,000 yards for the 7th straight season, no other receivers done that at the start of the season. I said, get him out of there. But Bruce Arians has this drunken redneck biscuit mentality where he can't see the forest of the trees. He can't say, okay, he got the record. Let me take him out. No.
Risk it for the next
play. Let's try to get more gravy. Let's put more maple syrup in gravy, and he's got to go for the touchdown. That's what drives me crazy. So, you take the good with the bad with Bruce Arians. I guess I'd say I would rather him be overly aggressive than less. I would rather have Bruce Arians versus Mike Zimmer. If those are my 2 choices, and I have to lean towards Mike Zimmer, who's terrified to throw an 8-yard out, versus Bruce Arians, who all he throws is Hail Marys and bombs. If I'm forced to choose, I would take Bruce Arians. You disagree?
In Zimmer's defense.
Here we go.
I would be concerned throwing an 8-yard out with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, I agree. That's the most overrated quarterback in the league.
Everybody talks about the Bucs have some of the best skill receivers in the league, and they do. They've got Dalvin Cook, who's phenomenal. They've got Adam Thielen, who's phenomenal, and they got Jefferson, who is all world. He is next level great.
I actually like Minnesota's tight ends. The Irv Smith, the Conklin, Ruda. I really like what they have going on there with the tight ends. I'm a big fan of having an offense with at least one stud, if not 2 good tight ends. I think that opens up a lot of the field.
So you hate the Patriots offense?
No. Wait,
no, I mean the current.
Oh yeah, the current one. Yeah.
This is what I told you, Cam. When Cam keeps talking about earlier, he goes, "Oh, they got a chance to make the playoffs." I go, "Get out of here."
Not you, but yeah, Cam Newton. Yeah, I tell you what, the Broncos broke. They broke Cam Newton.
He was never the same. He was never the same.
When they came off the edge and smacked him in the head and knocked him out. Yeah.
And he wouldn't pick up a fumble in the Super Bowl. Yeah, done. Toast. That was it.
He's got CTE. Cam Newton has CTE. You heard it here first. Cam Newton has CTE. This is breaking news. My medical doctors are, I'm sure that would.
He was way too happy this year on a team that sucks. So maybe he does. Yeah.
Right. And I want to say one more thing before we end this. It takes more than 10 minutes because he likes to pretend that he gets out at 4:30 every day. He wakes up at 4:20. He leaves at 4:30. It takes more than 10 minutes to pick a yellow jacket, yellow pants, and yellow tie. There's not a chance in hell he wakes up at 4:20. That's a lie. There's no chance, regardless of what time he went, even if he's lying and maybe it's 4:45 or 5 o'clock, there's not a chance in hell he's up and out at 10 minutes because it takes more than 10 minutes to get the yellow ties and fedoras and all the yellow shoes. That's just a lie.
Even if he has it laid out the night before.
Correct. I mean, even if it's laid out before and he carries it with him, there's still no way. You got to brush your teeth, take a pill. I'm not going to go through the whole point. Everybody figures it out, but everybody knows what they got to do. You can't get that done in 10 minutes. It takes more than 10 minutes.
You're at 10 minutes right there. And you have the clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Cam.
The last thing I want to ask you guys is I know we got to go soon because we brought up Tua earlier. I'll bring it back to this. Should the Dolphins send Tua the first round pick they have from them this year and the first round next year back to Houston for Deshaun Watson?
That's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. I think that's a great idea. My opinion on Tua, we'll go to Dave. My opinion on Tua, and I said this to you, you were wrong. I know. You're like, well, what about Josh Allen? He didn't know. Look, Tua sucks. You can write it down. You can underline it. You can circle it. And you can scribble crayons on it. He sucks.
You're already putting him in the Bucs category.
You missed. Yes. He's not. When you drafted Tua, you thought he was Justin Herbert. You missed. You missed. We know Justin Herbert is on the rocket ship going up. I'm telling you, that is actually a great idea. I may tweet that.
It actually is, yeah.
I never even thought about that. That is a great idea. You made a mistake with Tua. Look, I'm not saying he's going to be Johnny Manziel or whoever, but you when you drafted Tua, you were hoping you had Justin Herbert. That's what you wanted. You were hoping you had Joe Burrow. He's not at that level. He's just not. He's got all kinds of problems. That's a good idea. You trade him back to Houston. They can save face because they have Tua, young guy, and they get Tua, and you might have to give up some more for Watson, but I think that's actually a great idea. Both teams can save face with that. I think that's
if we could get that deal done, I would 100% do it. I'm not the biggest Deshaun Watson fan, but hey, he's a lot better than freaking Tua.
Dave, I'm starting to get a sense. It's been a while since we went too deep with sports. I'm starting to get a sense you hate everybody. Dave?
I do. There's a lot I don't.
I mean, because right now, if I'm building a team with Sean McVay and Deshaun Watson and 3 first-round draft picks, you're passing. So, I mean, what are we? Who do we like here?
Well, okay, let me put this in perspective. It's kind of the same thing with Tua. The thing with Deshaun that really it concerns me is those injuries. He's torn his ACL, I think, 3 times. He tore it once in high school, once in college, and I think he also tore it in the NFL.
In practice, not even during the game.
Yeah. So that type of stuff. Now, obviously, it's football, and injuries can happen at any time. I understand that. It comes. It's the nature of the business, right? But it's the same thing with Tua. Yeah, how many lower body surgeries has he had outside of the hip? He's had both of his ankles.
Yeah,
I think like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you have an old man injury, a hip injury, I'm sorry, I take you off. I cut the losses. Old man injuries, hip, your kneecap falls off, you're falling down the stairs, watching MASH reruns. I'm sorry.
And I like Deshaun Watson. It's nothing against Deshaun Watson. He's a good quarterback. It's that when you're investing all that, to me, if you're getting Deshaun Watson, you know that you have a chance to win in the next 2 years. Do the Dolphins really have is that a roster you're looking at? Even, let's say, because they'd have to give up that first-round pick.
Yes, so, I would say that. I would say yes, and here's why I would say that. Because they won 10 games, so they're not far away. My theory on the draft is this. You load up your O-line, you load up your D-line, you load up your team.
Yeah, I agree.
You get your quarterback last because too many cute teams like Cleveland and all these other cute teams, they're finally in the playoffs. They limped in because of dumb luck because Pittsburgh.
Cleveland has number 1 rush offense in the NFL. What do you think they got in?
Right. That's why they got in. Right. It's not because of Baker Mayfield. Yeah. So my theory on the draft, I've seen it too many times because we did this the other night and we'll do it another night with what I was saying about Cam the other night. Everybody's like, oh, well, I love this guy. I love this guy and this guy and this guy. I love Trevor Lawrence. I love Justin Fields. Okay. Which one is Sam Darnold? Okay. Which one is Sam Darnold? Which one is Josh Rosen? Nobody's looking at it like that. Everybody keeps thinking, oh, well, it's all Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, and they're going to be 10-time Pro Bowl, and they're going to be locks. They're going to be Peyton Manning. Well, okay. Well, which one
is a bust yet? I don't think he's a bust yet. I don't think he's going to be an all-star, but I don't think he's a bust yet.
Tua?
Darnold.
Oh, Darnold. No, I'm not saying Darnold is a bust.
You know what? Adam Gase is borderline worst coach. And
well, look how good Tannehill's been since he got away from Adam Gase.
So let me say this, and I hope my computer doesn't go out here because we've been going so long today. Let's charge this up. What I was saying to this is yes. Am I telling you the Dolphins are the next Patriots, the next Packers, the next – no. But what I'm saying is their roster is good enough. Flores is good enough that if they've got good running backs, if they continue to build their O-line, if they get another top-tier receiver with Deshaun Watson, this team can try to win 11 or 12 games. They're not that far away. I'm saying – in this case, it's worth risking it for Deshaun Watson.
Well, all that being said, I would 100% do that deal. I wouldn't even think twice. Now, if Nick Caserio or whatever, however you pronounce his name, the guy they just hired from Caserio, they got from New England, would he do that deal? I don't know, but if he would,
Miami in the last 10 years,
Who is the worst Patriots? Okay, I thought you were saying the Dolphins, but yeah, you're right. The Patriots. Now, part of that is Bill Belichick, and here is a problem. Like Donald, I almost called him Donald Trump. The problem with Bill Belichick is he's like Donald Trump. Whether you love Trump or not, there's no moving Trump off of a point. If Trump has been right a lot, but he's been wrong. So if I'm in the room with Donald Trump and I say, Trump, don't say that. That's going to be bad.
They're committed to what they do.
They're committed.
I am committed to this. I will die on this hill.
Does not listen to his scouts.
No, he calls his buddies in college. He calls Urban Meyer. He calls Nick Saban. He calls Greg Schiano. He gets their insight. That's what he takes. He doesn't listen to his scouts at all.
That's a problem. That's a problem. The reason why, I love the draft more than anything, and I've seen it time and time again. You hit on this. The Cleveland Browns The reason why they are in the playoffs, it's not because of Baker. Case Keenum would have got the same results as Baker. I'm just going to say it. They would have got the same results.
I don't disagree.
Baker he looks great. Oh, you're going to show me the Cincinnati games. Okay, great. Show me the Baltimore games. Show me the Pittsburgh games.
Some of the Jets game.
Some of the Jets. He lost to the Jets. Okay, he barely beat Mason Rudolph at the end of the season. Okay, he lost to the Jets, and he almost lost to Mason Rudolph.
They're going to get steamrolled this week.
Limp into the playoffs. You're right. The Browns have the best, technically the Baltimore is the best run offensive league as far as technicality, but most of that's Lamar Jackson. The Browns have what
Jackson's the best running back in football.
Right. What I would say, and we have to say that for another show. The Browns have the best real traditional running game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They are a power running team, 160 yards of the game. You can't stop that team. And there's no doubt about it. So I believe you run the ball, O-line, D-line, you load up your roster. It's too risky at quarterback, what we've talked about. It's too high risk, high reward at quarterback. I am also punishing Justin Fields, not because he's done anything wrong. Justin Fields has done nothing wrong. He's won every game you've asked him to do. He's done everything you've asked him to do. He played great, but I am punishing him because
the Ohio State bias.
He went to the same school with Dwayne Haskins, the same school with J.T. Barrett, the same school as Troy Smith, the same school as all these other guys.
Cardell Jones. Right.
Cardell Jones is the other guy. They've all been busts. And not just busts, they've been super busts. Yes, they're punished.
For me and Justin Fields, Justin Fields is good. The red flag for me is that he left Georgia because he couldn't beat out Jake Fromm. Now, obviously, that's a coaching. Obviously,
I forgot
that was on Kirby Smart.
Right, he did leave.
Obviously, somebody evaluated that incorrectly. But to me, and I understand you have to do what's best for you, but to me, in that kind of competitive situation, I want a guy who's going to stick around and say, "No, I'm going to beat this guy out." Because who's to say he couldn't beat Fromm out in 3 or 4 weeks, or whatever time frame you want to pick.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I do agree with you. I mean, Ohio State's not a place you want to be drafting quarterbacks out of. I mean, I don't even know.
Let me help you out here. They play. I'm going to say it. Okay, since we've gone totally off the rails and everybody's been giving hot takes and trying to piss off Twitter. The Big Ten sucks. The Big Ten sucks. Okay, I'm sorry to say this. If you're Ohio State, you don't have to worry about Michigan because Harbaugh is just going to keep. All he was worried about is having nice polos and khaki pants. That doesn't make you a great coach. Okay, being a cool guy, man. And then also Michigan State. So you got to beat Michigan State and just don't blow it against Michigan. And they're not playing the level of schools of LSU, Georgia, Alabama, and all these other guys. It's just not happening, right?
Yeah, and I've heard takes from people, especially from the West Coast, that are like, "Oh, yeah, the SEC is only one team, one dominant team, Alabama. Oh, they're not that good." I'm like, then why do they consistently have the most guys, drafted out of the, into the NFL? I mean, you look across the board. I mean, the who's the worst team? Let's just pick a mid-level team from the SEC East or West right now. What?
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri. Missouri actually wasn't. I mean, Drinkwitz. I mean, I live here. I'm not a Mizzou fan, but one of my really close buddies that I coached with for years, he lives and dies Mizzou athletics, especially football. And Mizzou is actually pretty good this year, and their roster really wasn't like elite top tier. If you look at the rest of the SEC, if you take the whole SEC as a whole. And look at Arkansas.
And no,
Arkansas
Cam, don't
mention
Vanderbilt. They're not a mid-level team. You have to win a game. You have to win a game to be a mid-level team in the SEC.
Well, let me tell you something. Anybody from the Pac-12 who wants to rip on the SEC, you're out of the argument.
I agree. Cam, you still with us there? Your phone and everything, and you're still good?
Yeah, everything's good. Yep.
Okay. So we got Buck Wild. I want to bring this up. I want to bring up the standings for college football. I want to bring up. So we talked about LSU this year has kind of
the bowl records.
What's that?
The record, the bowl records by conference.
Oh, the bowl records. Yeah, we can bring that up. We probably won't be able to get to that today. But here's what I wanted to bring up really quickly before we wrap this up here with the SEC. Let me see. Here we go. So we've got the Florida Gators 8-2, Georgia 7-2. I almost called Georgia a mid-level team, but they're better than that. Missouri, actually, that's the definition of mid-level. They're 5-5. Yeah. But forget about those. We've got Alabama, okay, 10-0. We've got Auburn at 6-4. LSU is 5-5. Even Ole Miss at 4-5. So those are teams that are higher level teams. It's the SEC. There's a reason why. I bet the best talent comes out of the SEC, whether you love it or hate it. The top team, the 5th team, the 8th team, 10th team, 12th team. They're loaded with teams. All Ohio State's got to do is beat those guys that I mentioned. Now, Dabo should not have said he ranks him 11. That was a stupid comment to say because now he looks like an idiot. But yeah, so let's wrap this up in a couple minutes, Dave and Cam. So your philosophy on the draft is the same as mine. O-line, D-line, load up the roster, right?
Yeah, build from the inside out. I think, and if you look across the board, I guess I'll say, even though I'm not old, I guess, whatever, I have more of like an old school mentality when it comes to football. I mean, I'm more of like a power run game, play action, depending on your quarterback. Now, obviously, if you have Mahomes or Josh Allen, I'm going to spread it. I'm going to chuck the ball around. But, I want to build from the inside out because if you can't protect your quarterback, whether that's through a strong run game or, you can also protect them by having a strong play action game off, your run, your good run game. I like to build from the inside out. Everything starts where that ball starts on the line of scrimmage. If you can't protect that, I mean, what good's your quarterback if he's on his butt? I mean, all the time.
Andrew Luck.
Exactly. Andrew Luck.
Let's get this out there. Josh Allen, not a top 6 pick. Patrick Mahomes, not a top 6 pick. Aaron Rodgers, not a top 6 pick. So, and we all know Tom Brady, 199 in the 6th round. So the top 4 quarterbacks in the league, okay, if you want to throw Deshaun Watson in there at 5th, none of those guys are top 6 picks. None of them. This is what I'm saying. Because I do not think the Jets should take Justin Fields. I'm saying it right now. Do not take Justin Fields because they're going to take Justin Fields, number 2, and they're going to say, oh, well, this new coach, Eric Bieniemy, couldn't figure it out with Justin Fields, and he's fired in 2 years. Yeah. My number 1 job as a coach is to keep my job. You keep your job with loading your roster with talent. O-line, D-line protects the quarterback, protects the running backs on the O-line side. On the D-line side, it protects the linebackers, it protects the corners. Load up your team with talent. That gives you the best chance to get 8 or 9 wins. Just look at what Miami did. Now, Miami was lucky that they had a solid roster. They loaded up. They had a lot of picks, O-line and D-line, and they chose Tua last year, which was a mistake. It is what it is. And then, like you said, Miami's got the 3rd pick because of Houston, right?
Correct.
So in this way, tell me your exact scenario. You're trading Tua and you're trading a 1st-round pick for Deshaun Watson. Is that
I'm trading Tua. I'm trading the 1st-round pick that is Houston's back to them.
Correct.
And a 2nd-round pick.
And who? Okay, 2nd-round pick, and who else?
And a 1st round next year.
Okay. Did you say 2 1st-rounders or 3 1st-rounders?
You said 2 1st-rounders and a 2nd and Tua.
Okay, so 2 1st-rounders, a 2nd, and Tua.
Yes.
Wow. That's a lot, but in this wild scenario,
Deshaun Watson's going to cost a lot.
I would agree with you. I would make that. So 2 firsts and a 2nd and Tua.
Correct.
Yeah, if you could get that done, I would do.
I would do that. Yeah. I would do that deal as well. I would do that deal. I would do that deal. And now if I'm Miami, because I just spent so much on Tua, I'm trying not to trade the 3rd overall pick. I'm trying to trade. I would trade a 1st-round pick the year after. I would try every bone of I would make that deal if I had to, but if I was the GM, I would try everything I could to keep the 3rd pick to take either the big O lineman or Jamar Chase, the receiver. That's what I would do. So anything else, Dave, you wanted to bring up before we wrap this bad boy up?
There's plenty of stuff I could bring up.
Let's hear it. You're going to save it. Okay, great. Let's save it. So O-line. So I will say this. I do want to ask the panel, start with Dave. Dave, you're the Jets. Would you take Justin Fields, and what would you do?
I wouldn't take Justin Fields. I don't know. I don't think Darnold's going now. I don't get to see him in practice every day, but he has shown flashes at times where he could be like a Matt Ryan. I mean, he could.
Wow.
I'm not a Matt Ryan fan. I think Matt Ryan's he's a solid starter. I think Darnold could be a solid starter, but there hasn't been enough time to really evaluate Darnold because of Gase and that team. I mean, they're horrible across the board. That team is horrible. It's just horrible. So it's really difficult to evaluate a quarterback when there's no talent around them. The coaching's horrible. There's no run game. His weapons this year. So they finally got Denzel Mims back off IR. I do like Jamison Crowder. He's the perfect slot receiver. Brashard Perriman flashed a couple times. Braxton Berrios is kind of like in that, we'll say the Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Jamison Crowder type mold. Chris Herndon's missed a ton of time with injuries. To me, there just hasn't been enough time to evaluate Sam Darnold to say that he is an absolute bust and Justin Fields is going to be heads and heels way better than Darnold. I don't see that. I just don't. I think there's less risk of taking like the Soul, what's his name, Panay Soul or whatever, the tackle from Oregon. Or if you just want to go ahead and load up on weapons and take a Jamar Chase. Just to me, Jamar Chase, I don't even know if there's a hole. I know he didn't play this year, neither did Soul, but I mean, there's really no hole in the game.
Reach report and all the top sources that have Jamar Chase as the top 3 pick. I'm saying,
yeah. So to me, I would take one of those two. And if Darnold, so if you want to take, another quarterback late in the round like a Brock Purdy or something like that, maybe turns into something. I don't know.
Let's see you busting at the seams here. You want to get in on this? You look angry. Let's hear it.
No, I'm not angry, but when it comes to no, I wouldn't take Justin Fields if I were the Jets either. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was the shiny pearl, and
yeah.
So this time,
you're saying Justin Fields is the turd in the punch bowl? That's what it sounds like you're saying.
No, Justin Fields, I think, is a phenomenal quarterback. I think he's going to have a very good career.
Okay.
I think Sam Darnold was destroyed by Adam Gase. I think Adam Gase ran him into the ground. My evidence is look how good Ryan Tannehill has been since he left Adam Gase.
Yes.
There's a lot of truth there.
There's a lot of truth there, and I want to say this. I think Sam Darnold is equal to or better than Baker Mayfield. I'm not. Everybody's in love with Baker.
We all know you hate Baker.
I'm not on the Baker Mayfield. He's pepper wings.
You never have been.
I've never liked him.
No. You're the guy who said on draft night if you were in that Browns room, you wouldn't have handed the card in. So
yeah, no, I went a step further. I said not only would I have not handed the card, I would have ripped it up in front of the boss, and they would have had. If my job was to turn in the card, I said I am not turning in that card with Baker Mayfield, and they go, "You're turning in that card." I said no. I would have ripped up the card in front of them, and I would have got skipped, and they would have had to punch me in the face and drag me to the podium, and I still would not turn in Baker Mayfield. So that is the level of disdain that I have for Baker Mayfield. I would not have turned up the card. I would have ripped it right in front of the owner of the gym, and they would have said, "You're going to get fired if you don't turn." I would have ripped it right up. I would have said, "Choose another guy. Choose another guy. Choose another guy." That's what I would have done. So yeah, I would have. So if I'm the Jets, to get back to the Jets, do I think Sam Darnold is great? No. Is he maybe salvageable? Maybe. But here's what I would do. I would give this young man a shot. I would draft Panay Sewell with the 2nd overall pick. I would team him up with Mekhi Becton, and I'd say, we are going to load up an O-line with this ragtag team. We're going to figure out a way to get a good running back in the 3rd round. We're going to go young, get a young bull. We're going to load this O-line up. We got a couple guys maybe on defense. Keep loading that up. And we're going to load this Jets team, try to get to 7 or 8 wins. Load this team up, manage the game, and be competitive. That's the direction.
Do that and run power football. Just take Najee Harris in the 2nd round. Take Soul. Take Najee Harris in the 2nd round. Screw it. We're going to run down your throat.
Screw it. We're going to run down your throat. That's what I do. Look, you have to have – I don't care what the guy's name is. Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck. Pick the guy's name. We all think he's the number one guy. We all love his haircut. We all love his 6'4" and 6'5", and he can throw out of the building, jump out of the building. He checks every box. Great. Does he have the 5 guys in front of him that can block, that can move a man against his will? That's what we're talking about. If you don't, you can have the coolest haircut in the league and Sunshine Trevor Lawrence. It's not going to make a difference because we're going to say, wow, Trevor Lawrence was the best prospect since Joe Burrow. The Bengals ruined Joe Burrow. The Jaguars, again, ruined Trevor Lawrence. That's my take on that.
Cam said it best, man. The Jets really screwed that up. They screwed that up.
They screwed the pooch.
With hiring Adam Gase, yep.
Yeah. All right. Great show. Like and subscribe to the channel. If not, we're going to sit Cam and all the angry Patriots fans at you. Thanks again, guys. Great show.
Thanks.